Hi, I'm Zach, and today I'm going to be showing you the pentatonic scale on the guitar, which is the basic building block of the guitar solo. Alright, so as I mentioned, the pentatonic scale, that's kind of the first step to writing lead guitar parts or guitar solos. The pentatonic scale, it's pretty easy, and basically if you can memorize shapes, you can memorize scales. And the shape of this scale is basically, it all has to do with the spacing between your fingers. So your very top string, your high E, it's a space of 2 between your fingers. So it's 2. Next string down, it's 2 again. Then the next 3, the space between is 1. And then once you get to your low E, then one more time, it's a space of 2 again. So the whole shape itself looks like this. And you can play that up and you can play it down. And by itself, it sounds a little clunky, and it's not a guitar solo per se when it's just played straight through. But when you start to mix up the notes and play them at different lengths and you start to bend the strings a little bit, that's when it starts to take the form of your solo. So something like this. So that, once you start to mix those things up like that a little bit, it starts to take a more fluid form and become the solos that you hear in various songs. So once you do that, don't expect it to start to come together immediately. It's going to sound funny at first, especially when you start bending the strings. That takes some time to kind of get a feel for that a little bit. But once you get a little bit more comfortable, it becomes easier and easier. Again, a little bit of that starts to sound a little bit more like a solo. However, you can take it even further and start filling in some of those middle spaces or gaps that I told you about earlier. So just to keep things simple for this video, I'll fill in the gaps in the one space section of the scale, or the middle couple of strings. And when you do that, so you play them straight through across like this. And you end up with a whole different kind of sounding scale now when you start to fill in those gaps. So let's try soloing again, and we'll fill in those gaps a little bit, and it adds even a little bit more flair to it. So there you go. That's kind of your basic building block to the guitar solo. And as I said, don't rush it, just sort of mess around and play with it, and it will slowly start to come together, and you'll like what you're hearing more and more as you go on. So once again, I'm Zach, and that's the pentatonic scale and the basic building block of the guitar solo.